Okay, Mishlei 21:9. This is a Mishlei character here. Tov lasheves al pinas gag me'eshes midyanim ubeis chaver. Yeah.
It's good to sit by a corner of a roof.
Okay. So the mem here, tov me, means better than. Yeah. So better, yeah.
Better that than a wife of strife and a house of a friend.
Okay. Of a roof, then a, you can pass that down. It's on the wrong page, but whatever. Then a, what are you, wife of strife, you said?
Wife of strife.
Yeah, wife of strife is good. And a house of a friend. Better to sit on the corner of a roof than a wife of strife and a house of a friend. Okay, so the Ashes Midyanim, what was that? So this is not Midianite, if that's what you're wondering. Is that what you're wondering? This is like from Madon is how you say quarrel. Quarrelsome wife is another way people translate it. Let's say wife of strife or quarrelsome wife. This is obviously something we have to define. And a house of a friend. Yeah. I'm trying to think what's the root. Oh, I think it actually comes from the word. It might come from the word din, right? Like getting into an argument with someone. Let me just check on the actual Torah dictionary to look at the shoresh. Madon, strife, contention. They just say shame etzem. Is there no? Hold on. Okay, fine. I guess they don't say what the shoresh is. That's weird. I assume it comes from din. Yeah. Okay. So Matsustian just says pinas is zavios. I don't know why he makes it plural, or unless it's zavias. I think zavis though is the singular corner. I don't know why he's saying that. Sadigon says tov milasheves im isha balas midyanim v'tirdanis. Okay, so how do you translate tirda? Yeah, tarod. Yeah, how do you translate that? Burdensome. Yeah, that's good. So he I don't exactly know what he's doing with that first part, but better than to. Oh, so one thing I know what he's doing. He's adding in better to sit on a corner of a roof with a wife of strife. Hold on.
He's saying what the second is.
Yeah. Yeah. Then to dwell with I think dwell is probably better, right? Yeah. Well, we'll say both. Okay. Then to dwell with a woman who is contentious and burdensome. Okay. That's how we'll translate Tirdanis for now. Yeah. So I don't know if he I guess it's weird to say Ashes Midyanim, the wife of burdens. Maybe that's why he's changing it to Isha. I think the plain shot is she's a burdensome or quarrelsome wife. Okay, then Targum, we couldn't figure out what it was doing. So Tav Lemesav Al Karna de Igra, better to, I assume that just means on the roof of or on the corner of a roof. Mean Itza Tagranisa. Okay, so again, I assume that's a literal translation. Ubesa Tarka. So this is the weird thing. Tarka means in the Jastro a castle or a palace. Okay, then to dwell with a wife in a palace. What was it?
The second.
So it's weird, right? Because you would think that the second one would be relevant to what we're saying here. But first of all, it's base tarka. So it's qualifying, like he's translating chaver as tarka. Okay, and then it quotes Proverbs 25:24, which is virtually the same. Actually, it's almost exactly the same. Hold on. If you look at, this is one of these cases where there's a repetition in Mishlei. Wait, where are we here? Hold on. 25:24 Mishlei says, Tov sheves alpinas gag me'eshes midyanim ubeis chaver. Yeah, it's just without the la sheves, but yeah. So and it references that pasuk. So we weren't sure what to make of that. And then I found this weird thing, which is even, okay, so let me write that. Okay, then to dwell, were you saying something earlier? I saw your hand go up.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Isn't like Tagar like a editor?
Complainer, I think.
Oh, like
Corey Tagar, yeah, with a complaining woman, let's say that. And a palatial house. Okay. Yeah, right. So I thought that was right because that's what we just said. Tarka is. I think Tarka is related to like Traklin, like like that Mishnah Pirkei Avos, that prepare yourself in the pros door so that you can go to the tracklin. So our scroll says better to dwell on the corner of a roof than to dwell with a contentious wife in a house of a friend. Living Nach says better to dwell on the corner of a roof than with a quarrelsome wife or in the house of a friend. I don't know where they get the or from. Okay, but then here's the weird part. Okay, Alter, doing his thing, says better to dwell on the corner of a roof than with a quarrelsome wife in a spacious house. Okay, so then he says better to dwell in the corner of a roof. The better than proverb from here is also a kind of riddle. What could possibly be worse than to have to perch or live on the corner of a roof, to live with a quarrelsome wife? Okay, then a spacious house. The Hebrew Beit Chaver would literally be house of a friend, perhaps a welcoming house, but a reversal of the order of consonants yields Beit Rachav, a spacious house. I don't know why he just like will do these things of just like, oh, maybe it's flipped, you know? But when you put the two together, it does seem like the Targum is doing something like that also, you know?
Also, didn't we say that there was the other translation of Tarka could be like a palace or like a...
Right, yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like that seems to be going off of the same thing than, you know, as this. Yeah, I don't know. It's very weird. Okay, so we'll keep the Targum in mind with Alter's like weird thing, but let's just stick with Pshat and assume it means the house of a friend for now. Okay. All right. So what are the questions?
Why is it better?
Yeah. Okay. So better in what sense? And this is a good. I mean, I think this is an obvious question in any case, but there is a genre of Mishlei pasuk of tov blank may blank, better this than that, and you always have to ask better in what framework or better in what sense. Yeah.
What is dwelling or sitting not like that?
Yeah. What is let's say the mushal of yeshiva, I guess, yeah, of I guess Lesheves al Pinas Gog, right? Like what qualities does that highlight? Right. Like, for example, clearly, according to Targum and Alter, it's defining a narrow living space, you know, but seems like there's many more ways to interpret corner of a house. Yeah. Yeah.
What does it mean to dwell with the H's together?
Yeah.
No, sorry. What is the thing about Meshes Midan that's being compared?
Right. Okay. So let's ask let's first ask what, here, you can pass that to Chizkiyahu. What is an Ashes Midyanim? Okay. And then what quality of the Ashes Midyanim makes it, is this really asking the same thing better in what sense? No, this was fine. No, I think this should be its own question. What quality of the Ashes Midyanim makes it preferable to dwell on the corner of a roof, right? That's the question? Is that what you're asking? Or you're asking a different question?
I'm saying, what is the thing about H's Midan? Like, is it dwelling with her that's the worst thing, or is it something else about H's Midan?
Is that not... Okay, so then maybe just modifying it of... I mean, I think Pshat is dwelling with her, right? But what quality of dwelling with her?
Well, it is technically ambiguous, right?
Is it? Tov l'sheves albinas gog me'ashes midyanim ubeis chaver. You mean the fact that it doesn't say dwelling with the ashes midyanim?
Yeah. Like,
Yeah. Okay. All right. I see. Yeah. Sure. Okay. I'll put that in parentheses here. Is it talking about dwelling with her or some other quality? Yeah.
Is Ubeis Chaver going on Ashes Midyanim, or is that like qualifying that, or is that its own thing?
What do you mean? Is it going on?
Like, is it saying like it's then a quarrelsome wife and the like?
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Is that together, or is that separate things that it's better to sit in a room?
Right. Okay. So what? Yeah. So it. Yeah.
Is it better to sit on a roof than to be in either a house with a quarrelsome wife or your friend's house?
Right. So the what do you call it? The Living Nach said or, right? And I just don't get that reading, because the plain shot is better to dwell alone on the corner of a roof than to dwell even in your friend's house with your quarrelsome wife there.
Why would you think dwelling in your friend's house is a positive thing, though? Seemingly it is. I don't see why.
Okay, right. So let's
It's not really. You think it is?
Let's just first ask, what is a base
I think it's better to live in your own house.
chaver? Yeah. Right. Why? Yeah. What is base chaver in this context? Why not in your own house? Okay.
Well, isn't it because your angry wife kicked you out?
No, she's in the house.
Your
She's.
angry wife in your friend's house is like a.
Oh, you're saying she. That's interesting.
Yeah, yeah, it's like a bad-
That's interesting. That's interesting.
Quarrels
Yeah.
fight.
So let's ask the question: what is the relationship between the Isha's Midyanim
Yeah,
and the base chaver?
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'll indulge this for a second. I don't like reading chats during Zoom. I'll say it again until people stop chatting. Yeah. Okay, fine. So what does the corner of a roof mean? Why not just say alone? Yeah. So we have, so what quality does that highlight? Other than alone. Yeah. Okay. What else? Isaac, did we have a pasuk about her last year?
Yeah, I was looking for that.
I was looking for that too, and I couldn't find it.
Yeah, it was it's 1913.
Did it use the phrase Isha's Midyanim?
It was Midianei Isha.
Oh, okay, fine. Because this sounded really familiar, but I did a search and I couldn't find it, and that's why.
Yeah, it was deleterious Midianei Isha.
That's what I thought. Right.
Yeah.
That was dwelling in the house that with a leaky roof. Right. All these roof wife analogies.
Yeah, that was like
speaking of which, I'm going to put this as a separate question from what is it, Asia's Midyanim, which is because Asia's Midyanim, I think plain shot is it's a quarrelsome wife. I mean, we'll have to define the quarrelsome thing, but is this limited to a wife? Okay, for example, could this also be a daughter? Could this also be anyone who you live with? It could be a mother-in-law. You know, could this be other women or people you live with who have live with or associate with? Well, that's what I'm saying. Like in the same way that when we have, for example, a king, then some psukim are about davka, a king, and some psukim are about anyone in a position of leadership. Or when you have a son, sometimes that means specifically a biological son. Sometimes it means someone who you have an influence over. You know, so Mishlei can sometimes just give like the most common version of a larger case. So hold on a second. Or you associate with. Or is this specifically a wife? Yeah, say again.
So my grandmother used to always have this expression.
Yeah.
A little bit ironic to her. I can say that. But she always said, better to be alone than with bad company.
Right. I mean, that seems to be the case here, right?
So she wasn't obviously speaking about other women. She was her case.
Well, right. But this is an interesting thing because this seems to be even with good company, but she somehow ruins the base chaver, right? Yeah. So let's just add that to the question here. What effect?
Well, that's why I really feel like he has to be with the base chaver. Like he has to be with her and to get away from her. Like she's like.
You could definitely say that. I plain shot is like you know, you're living either alone on the corner of a roof or you're living in a house of a friend with her. You know, and you might think that the fact that you're like with friends is going to make it all good, but the fact that you're with her somehow like ruins it.
Oh, wait.
Yeah, Yosef.
What type of fights are these? You know what I mean? Like, is it like an emotional fight, or is it that they don't have like matching values? Is one treating the other?
That's a really good question. What types of quarrels are these? Okay, petty, substantive. You know, about you, about other people. Does it matter? Yeah. Okay, good.
Where else do we see the do we see it really often not referring to the
Yeah. So let's just look back at the oopsies. Hold on. Let's just strife, contention in all these places. Let's see if is there time in the Chumash or is it only in Nach? Looks like it is only in Nach.
With the Midianite women particularly spicy.
I mean, they did trade in spices, but no, I think there's absolutely no relationship between Midian and this. Yeah, then Madon. Yeah, I think it's just like a similarity in it's like cognate or whatever. Yeah, yeah. I thought there was an example of this in Chumash, but I guess I was wrong. Yeah. Okay. I feel like here you can ask this in Mishlei in general, but here we have to ask, what is the Hava Amina, right? Why would I think that dwelling with an Ashes Midyanim Beves Chaver is better? Yeah.
Or good in general.
Or good in general. Yeah.
What does Lashevis mean here? And I mean by that, does it mean like a permanent living situation or like a sort of temporary?
Correct. Did we not? I guess we didn't ask that. Oh, we said, yeah, what Lashevis Alpinas Gog. Yeah, so I guess we'll ask this as a generic thing for all of them. What does Shevis, not Shabbos, what does Lashevis mean here? Like how permanent is this living situation? No, that's not a good way to ask it. What living situation does this describe? Yeah. Okay. Is that it? I think so, right? We can add more if we need. Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know if I'm just reading this too much Mario culture today, but to me, it sounds like, for as far as Hamina, this sounds a lot like friends with benefits kind of. Seriously, I'm not even trying to be funny. Like,
yeah.
It sounds like oh, like this almost like a casual relationship, and just like you might think like, oh, it's like you don't have to even deal with the commitment part. It's just like
let's go with what Shlomo was talking about. Like I just don't think that was common in Israel. So let's assume like what he's talking about, because that's what he's trying to teach us, and then we'll work from there. Yeah, Yosef.
Maybe like penis gog means that it's like high risk, but I'm not sure. But like that sounds like, what would you think that being on the corner of a roof does for you? It's high up and it's not so secure.
Yeah.
So I guess that would be higher risk.
Yeah. So I did see someone say that, or two people say that it means alone and exposed to the elements, and you could fall off really easily. So I don't know if those are all like supposed to be taken like in as one like scenario, or if those are three different ways to interpret. I mean, I'm sure there's three different ways to interpret it, but that is a good thing. And by the way, that's the other question we should just ask here, which is, can this be expanded to similar situations? Like, for example, a life as a like solitary. What is the is a crab fisherman? Is that the really dangerous one? Like where you're like on the sea, the high seas, and like they all die. Yeah, like a solitary, dangerous profession. In other words, like. Depending on which qualities we're talking about, like if it's just the fact that you're alone, so then can you extrapolate it to all situations where you're living alone? If it's dangerous, all dangerous situations, etc. Yeah.
Also,
sorry. Yeah, Yosef.
Yeah. Also, the word shav, like, I mean, from what I know, implies kind of like settled, right?
Yeah.
So compared to on the corner of a roof, that they're kind of opposites, right? So
Correct.
It makes sense to say it's like insecurity versus.
Yeah, it is interesting, right? Is like it's using a word that implies a permanent, secure dwelling for a very, very insecure, not seemingly permanent place. Yeah. Yeah, Ellie.
Okay, so we mentioned earlier that these cover might mean like a house of novelty or like how.
Yeah, palace. Yeah, that's how the target.
More sense shot-wise.
Right, because it's like a very, very cramped, not decked out place to live versus like a yeah.
Some good to end, right? With the U-base cover.
Yeah.
It's also like a spacious place.
Right. Yeah. It does. I definitely see the appeal in reading it that way. It's just and when we can learn it that way, it just does not seem like base cover is like a house of friends, right? I mean, that's
Unless that's what the Targum K'tuvim is telling me.
No, that definitely sounds like what the Targum K'tuvim means according to the Jastrow. It's just like and I do agree that it fits into the pshat. It's just that it doesn't seem to be that's what it's. I don't know. It's weird.
Who wrote Targum K'tuvim?
We don't know. I don't think. Yeah, I certainly don't know, but I think we don't know. Yeah, it's not Unkelos, and it's not Yonas Ben Uziel.
Wasn't there more about the Targum K'tuvim?
Yeah, that when they tried to translate it, then the earth shook because he revealed secrets in Daniel. Yeah. Yeah, that's
How
what.
about that
I-
they were gonna
I think-
stop doing that?
Right. No, so I think that's why it's not Yonatan and Uziel, because I think that was about him, if I remember correctly. And so he didn't do it. Then someone else just, yeah, right. Yeah, it's funny. But I guess you could always just do it. I don't know why that would jeopardize the entire Targum on Ksuvim. Like, just don't do Daniel, But you're not going to get earthquakes from translating Mishlei.
I don't think the Gemara said, like, I think the Gemara just said that it was getting real secrets. It didn't explicitly say this because of Danielle.
Oh, yeah? I thought it
Yeah.
was from Daniel. Interesting.
Oh, yeah.
I did
Yeah,
not.
I was just learning this more recently with Chaim.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was the end of days.
The thing, though, I think it's maybe mentioned Lucia also. no?
Yeah, right. That's what I meant with the, yeah, eschatological stuff. The end of days. Yeah. Yeah. I'll have to look back at it. Okay, so
Can I ask
yeah,
just a question just to strengthen the question we had of what we have Amina?
yeah,
Seemingly, when you're sitting on Pinat Gog, there's like an uncertainty, like there's a risk of danger versus being with Isha Minyanim.
yeah. That's funny.
And negative. So
Yeah.
just to strengthen that question.
Yeah, that's good. So I mean, I think that's already moving towards an answer. So should we go with this for today? Let's try it. Should we try out this thing of like you're sitting in a precarious situation, like you're in a place that needs a market, right? Like it's stereotypically dangerous, and you're living there, like you could fall asleep and then roll off,
I wasn't reading it like that. I was reading it more like it's just simply an uncomfortable situation because I like historically, like I mean, a lot of homes even now, like in the Middle East, all have they're flat,
Right.
So it's just the last remaining place.
Yeah.
Be at. So
Right. Yeah, I got the imagery also of someone cowering in the corner of his house, but this is like a more extreme version, like cowering on the roof. Like he's in his house, the furthest away from like the place where his wife is as possible, like just on like he hasn't been driven into the desert yet. That's another pasuk. It's better to dwell in a barren wasteland than to dwell with Ashes Midyanim. Yeah. Yeah.
I was actually kind of like, because I was really kind of trying to figure out why do they have to say, because it was like this whole bear thing was really throwing me off to me.
Yeah.
Because it's not like a good thing and a good thing. It's like a seemingly bad thing and a good thing.
Yeah.
A bad, basically a woman. And I'm thinking it's like, okay, you would think that like being alone is such a horrible thing that it's even worth being with a difficult woman.
Mhm.
Better than to be alone. Just like it's better to be with a good friend than it is to be alone.
Right.
But I think this kind of seems to me to say like, no, better to be even uncomfortable and alone. The homeless situation, the reason they don't say like a wife, a good person, is because that's the only time it would be good. Obviously, that's the ideal, is to be like the woman.
Right.
But if not, then like anything less than that is worse actually than being even uncomfortable and alone.
I missed the upshot. Just say again what you're
Like you would okay, so you would think that being alone is a pretty bad thing.
Right.
That's so much so that maybe it's even better to be with a bad woman.
right.
And obviously, like the ideal situation is to be with a good woman.
Right.
But that's actually the only situation, perhaps, where it's better than to be alone.
Right.
Being alone is like actually the second best
Right.
thing you could be, even if you're uncomfortable.
Right. Meaning that you would think that the order of preference is number 1, good woman, number 2, bad woman, number 3, alone. But really, you
Or
get
number
the
3, a friend, and then alone.
right.
Like, but it's like no, like alone's better than even being with a friend. Or
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I get the sense that this is saying a similar point. Yeah. Yeah, Yosef.
Yeah, on that point, I think like this is how I'm looking at it, but it's like destructive security is worse than just loneliness.
Destructive security is worse than loneliness.
Like if you're fighting with them, right?
Right.
It's the same point. I'm just like maybe clarifying a little.
Yeah. Yeah. So I saw what this is sounding like is I think the Malbim. Let me just check. You don't have the Malbim on your thing here in your packet. So yeah, tell me if this is like, we might as well just go to, I think this is close enough to what people are saying that we'll just try this idea right now and we'll explore other things afterwards. So Malbim, first of all, let's see how he translates stuff. Okay, he doesn't translate anything. So he says, where is it? Okay, Tov l'sheves, Hagam shetov l'sheves beis chaver, even though it's good to sit in your friend's house, meaning in a house with friendship. Okay, I think that's what he means by chavura here. Im ohavim v'chaverim v'reim, meaning it means like, it could be loved ones, relatives, and friends, not davka friends. V'lo tov l'sheves galmud, and it's not good to dwell alone. Galmud, hi. Thanks. You need someone to sign for that, or? Okay, all right, thank you. Galmud is this weird, obscure term for alone. I don't know why he doesn't just say like yachidi. I think it means like alone and gloomy, or maybe I just think gloomy because it has the gloam in it.
Is that galam?
I think this is okay. This might be where I learned the word the hapax legomenon, right? We talked about this recently. Let me just check. I just want to make sure I'm getting that word correctly. Maybe it does mean something. Yeah, I was thinking about like making a pun with Talmud, but Galmuda. Oh no, it is. So it's only used, or it's not only used. I guess it's primarily used in Eov. So let's just see what Galmud means according to the Malbim, just to make sure we're not getting anything, missing anything here. Galmud, he says, "Hu yoser mi boded." So it's worse than secluded. Shemitzayin shelo yischaber el shum adam. You're not joined to any person. Kamoma ani shekula v'galmuda v'chazal. Rosh Hashanah, I think, or Brov HaMakomos. I don't know. Shachim b'karkari hayam korin lenida galmuda. Yeah, so galmud is like extremely alone.
Not joined to any person.
Not joined to any person. Yeah.
Or like,
it's like a hermit. Hermit existence.
Yeah, but there's like a word for that. It's like when no one's like, I guess I don't know, like depending on you. Kind of like there's being alone, but then there's like the state of like you can call someone who has no one with them in the moment, but they're not alone because there's still someone waiting for them at home or something like that.
Yeah.
Sounds like that's
Yeah. Yosef, what do you want to say?
To add on to our point before, a palace is like the top place of security.
Yeah.
Right, because you're defended and you're also like pampered a little. So that would add on to our point that the idea of it being a palace fits with our idea of that it's security.
So you're saying if it's a palace and not a house of friends, you mean?
Right, like
Yeah.
I forgot which one said it, but
Yeah, the
that,
Targum.
it lines up with what we're saying.
Okay, so hold that thought for a second. I want to go with the other type of security first here, just because I think this is an interesting approach to take. V'lo tov l'sheves galmud is so you might think that even though it is good to dwell in a house of friends and loved ones, and it is not good to dwell alone, but someone who has a contentious wife, lo tov l'sheves b'veis chaver. It is not good to sit in the house of a friend. Why? Shehi tiskotet im hachaverim. She's going to quarrel with your friends. Okay. Until she turns them into enemies. Okay. Or she will start fights among them. Okay. Or she will degrade you in front of them. Okay. Yeah. So I think we have a good modern term for like this type of relationship. It is abusive, but I think it's toxic, right? This is like an example of like she poisons your other relationships, and I think that's where toxic comes from, right? It's like, va'az, and in that case, tov lasheves al pinas gag nifrad mehachaverim. They're to sit on the roof of the house, separate from friends. Okay, so this is not like what I thought would be dangerous thing. That must be someone else. With pasuk yud tes Yomar kitov lasheves be'eretz midbar me'eshes midyanim bakas. In pasuk 19, it's going to say better to dwell in a desert land or a wilderness than with a woman who's contentious and angry. Shimhu bal ka'as az gam lasheves al pinas gag be'ir lo tov. V'tzarich lifroach mipaneha el hamidbar. Pasuk zeh kaful lekaman v'isbar. Okay, he's gonna explain that pasuk there. All right, let's just take our own pasuk. So this is a different kind of security, and we'll get to your shot in a second, Yosef. But like, in other words, there is a certain pleasure that you being with friends. So let's put it together. So what is he saying is, you might think that being with your friends is going to kind of like cancel out.
Being with your wife and your friends at the same time.
Yeah.
Or if you try to run away from your wife to go to your
No. It's at the same time. It is Dafka at the same time. Yeah. And I think, by the way, when it says a house of friends, I don't think this is limited to a house. Like, I think you can make the argument also, like, better to live, let's say, like in alone on your roof than to live in a neighborhood with your friends with a contentious wife. Like anywhere where the wife is going to have interactions with your friends,
It seems like you're trying to use your friends to moderate
Correct.
behavior of your wife, and it's just not going to work.
Well, when you say, what do you mean by moderate? Like to actually change your behavior or to balance out? Like, yeah, correct. Yeah. In other words, you're like, okay, I have to put up with her, but like, at least I got my friends to take security in terms of like my identity, my social needs, my emotional needs, and saying, no, she's gonna either turn them into enemies or she's gonna start fights, and you won't be able to have that like calm, secure feeling of like just being with friends and being accepted, or even worse, she's going to degrade you and make your friends like look down on you and, you know, and ruin your self-image. Yeah, Yaakov?
Riffing off other people here.
Yeah.
I think a person might think that since the penis of God is Vadai going to be in conflict.
Yeah.
Whereas the wife is not necessarily going to argue. She might not. Plus the fact you have good friends there is a positive.
Yeah.
So I think that's, you know, something that's not necessarily gonna happen. It's something bad, it's not necessarily gonna happen. Plus something good, you know, add on to that.
Yeah.
It's better than a Vadai bet.
Right.
That's not the case. You have to look at sort of like the quantity and like magnitudes of
yeah.
the risk and how bad things.
Correct. Yeah, I think there is a separate, and maybe Isaac, tell me, but don't tell me if this is what we said for the last pasuk, that there's something bad about the Ishes Midyanim, that it's constant. Like there's a constant presence of like either the constant annoyance of the complaining or I mean, it doesn't seem like he's learning complaining, but I mean, it also doesn't sound like, like the nitpicking, the criticism, the like, why can't you be more like your friends? You know, like be successful like your friends. You know, yeah. Yosef, oh sorry, yeah. Isaac, what did you say?
I said that is what we said.
Okay, good. Yeah. Yosef, did you have your hand up?
Yeah. When it says Beinei, how does it mean between the other friends?
Yeah, between the other friends. She'll start up fights between them, kind of like she'll, you know, go over to your friend's wife and like start rumors about your other friend's wife, and like that'll like cause like quarrels and stuff, you know.
Gotcha.
Yeah, like
so
a drama.
it doesn't even have to do with
drama.
So it doesn't even have to do with you.
Doesn't even
It's
have to do
just
with you.
between your other friends.
Exactly. Yeah, she's just
Right.
disturbed the peace. Yeah. Yaakov.
Okay.
I also think there's something uniquely painful about something you thought is positive becoming ruined.
Yeah.
And like seeing it go down.
Correct. Yeah. Like I had these good friends, and then she turned them into enemies. Like the way he's saying, yeah.
I think that all these points are strengthening our question of the Havamina. Like, what's a Havamina? Like a poisonous wound is a good thing.
No, I think it's the Havamina, like what John was saying, is that the Havamina is that you'll be able to offset like those negative qualities as long as you can hang out with your friends. And this is saying, no, she's going to infect your relationship with your friends also, you know. And I think it's important. This is a good methodology point, by the way, that you notice we haven't had to exactly define what makes her an Ashes Midyanim. We're all familiar with like the type of person, and this is just using that as like a type, you know. But the other methodology point I was going to make is that like the pasuk is not going into why you would be married to such a woman, you know, and the reason is because you could be married to her for several reasons. Like maybe she has other good qualities, maybe she's got a rich father-in-law, maybe, you know, like maybe it's just like there are people who are really, really have strong qualities in other areas, but just they're very bad to be around socially, you know, like and you think to yourself like, okay, fine, like I'll I'll have to come home to this like Ashes Midyanim, but like I can hang out with my friends, you know, and like get my social needs from there. Nope, it's not going to work. Yeah, Yaakov.
Why is this actually true?
Why is this true? Right. So that's the part we
actually think that being
Yeah,
but like there's some ghosts aren't console now. Maybe it is
right.
not.
So I mean, I think that's no. I think the answer is that the one thing you had going for you was I'll get pleasure from my friends, and this is saying you won't get that pleasure. So like, in other words, if it was a true trade-off, so then you can make the argument maybe, but this is saying you're not even going to get the thing that you thought you were going to get.
What about not being alone though?
Oh, not being alone, right. So I guess it's saying that the pain,
And not being physically in contact?
right. Yeah. So can we think about that for tomorrow then? Like what is better about being alone on the corner of a roof, you know? Yeah. And then I realized I didn't get back to your shot, Yosef, about the palace thing. That if we try plugging this back into that, meaning a palatial house, so then how would that change it? Yeah. So just to summarize, what we do have is that you might think that you can offset the annoyance of the Ashes Midyanim with the pleasure of the friends, and Kamash Malan, she's going to ruin that. and there's a certain blindness. I think that's the other thing also is is you view each of your relationships as separate, but the nature of toxic people is that they do infect your entire like ability to get happiness socially in other relationships, you know?
Although it's interesting that we're I guess zeroing in on the effect she's gonna have on other people through you, and
Yeah.
not just the effect she's gonna have on you as a person. Meaning if you're with a toxic person, like that can rub off on you, and then you'll just through yourself like go and
Right.
talk
So
to other people.
what I think is that I think that the other pasuk he referenced of that's later on in our parak of
That was the midbar?
in the midbar, that's saying you by yourself versus you with her. This is specifically you with her with friends, you know, which is it's weird that pasuk comes first. It's still weird, kind of weird situation, but let's spend another day on this really matter. Okay.
All right.
All right. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye. Yep. Thanks for joining.